I've loved Julia for 12 years, watched her go through boyfriend after boyfriend. When everyone thought I'd finally be the one to make that flirt's heart settle down, she blocked me. For someone else. A month later, she stood in a sea of roses, cheeks flushed, asking me for another chance. I took a bright red wedding invitation from my bag, smiled, and handed it to her. I'm getting married next week. Hope you can come. Julia dropped a message in our old friends group chat. Meet at the usual place tonight. I have an announcement. Joel, my closest friend, teased. Oh? Getting all formal. Is our lady player finally ready to settle down? Normally she'd laugh and tell him to get lost. This time she replied with just one word. Yes. A single light word, and it hit the still water of the chat like a stone. Waves everywhere. No way, did I read that right? Is the Queen of Heartbreak docking? Did our Romeo finally hold out long enough to see the light? Let me deduce, Miss Lynn hasn't been seeing anyone. No flings. So the male lead has to be Romeo, no doubt. After all these years of unwavering devotion, congrats to Romeo. It wasn't a secret I liked Julia. My favoritism had always been obvious. Everyone knew. She in turn kept her gentleness and patience just for me. She didn't say more, almost like she was silently agreeing with the jokes. Over the years, she changed boyfriends constantly, but I was the constant. Anyone would think my waiting had finally paid off. She organized the gathering and was last to arrive, walking in with a shy, reserved young man. He was very young, undeniably good-looking. In a room full of strangers, he seemed nervous. He looked a lot like I did 12 years ago when I was first brought into the Lynn family. The room, lively seconds ago, snapped to silence, like someone hit the power button. We stared as Julia turned and hooked her arm through the young man's. "Let me introduce my boyfriend, Oliver," she said. She never took her eyes off him. Her gaze was soft, like a girl newly in love. Noticing the awkward air, Oliver lifted a hand and waved, his voice clean, gentle, and a little shy. "Hello, everyone!" Joel recovered first, laughing theatrically. "Quite the secret. When did you get a boyfriend?" He kept cutting glances at me. He tried to hide it, but I could see the worry in his eyes after all these years. Was he afraid I'd make a scene? Or that I couldn't handle it? I lowered my head, swirling the drink in my glass. My mind was blank. Bitterness coated my tongue. From start to finish, Julia and I had always hovered somewhere above friendship, but below love. She'd never given me a legitimate reason to be openly jealous. What right did I have to make a scene? Through the years, Julia drifted from one relationship to another, changing boyfriends every so often, but she never formally introduced any of them to us. That meant something, and we all understood it. She leaned into Oliver's arms, smiling. We've been together for over 2 months. Oliver's a little shy, so don't scare him. 12 years ago. Same group, same line. Romeo's a bit shy. Don't scare him. I'd just come back from a small southern village, brought into the high-walled Lynn estate near the capital. My Mandarin was imperfect. I got teased. Julia took my hand and pulled me into their circle. I was 14. The girl with the bright, fearless smile who cleared my confusion and fear became my guiding light. Out of consideration for me, everyone tamped down their reactions. After a decade of friendship, when it came to relationships, they'd naturally side with me over Oliver. And everyone had long assumed I'd be the one to end up with Julia. The air turned heavy and quiet. Oliver looked even more uncomfortable. He tugged at Julia's sleeve and whispered, "Sister!" It feels like they're not very welcoming. I frowned at his choice of address, a little physically uneasy at it. Back when we were teenagers, Julia's favorite prank was sneaking up behind me, snatching whatever I was holding, or jumping on my back and locking her arms around my neck until I called her sister. She was only 2 months older, but crafty and relentless. I always gave in. Only when my face flushed and I grudgingly called her sister would she let go. Back then she was still naive, maintaining an air of dignity with other boys. Just as she was about to reassure Oliver, a glass smashed in the corner. Domingo, the one who never got along with me, stood with a stern, handsome face and anger in his voice. "Julia, what have you been treating Romeo as all these years?" Her expression darkened. She scanned the room and fixed on me. Then, lightly, "I don't know if there's a misunderstanding, but I've only ever seen Romeo as a younger brother." Only a younger brother, is it? Had she forgotten? Last year at New Year's, Joelle brought fireworks and called us outside. Julia lounged beside me, clutching my arm, smiling. No, Romeo from my family is staying here to keep me company. Someone jeered. Since when did Romeo become part of your family? She tossed a tangerine at them, laughing harder. He always has been. Romeo is my childhood fiancé. A few months later, she could look me in the eye and calmly call me her younger brother. I pressed a hand against my heart. It hurt. Uncomfortable, but not as bad as I imagined. There was even relief, like finally receiving an answer. It felt like when I was 14 and sent what I thought was a beautiful story to my favorite magazine and heard nothing back. Then, 12 years later, they finally reply that it wasn't accepted. I'd think, oh, so that's that. The enthusiasm and longing had eroded with the weight. My feelings for Julia were the same. It's not that I didn't love her. I just no longer had expectations. So whatever the outcome, my emotions didn't swing too far. Domingo wanted to speak up for me again. I stopped him. He glared, gritted his teeth and spat, useless, then stormed off. It didn't feel right for me to stay either. I grabbed my phone, followed him out, ready to leave. My hand was on the door when Julia called, "Romeo, come back." I turned and smiled. "Sister, you all enjoy. I'm going to check on Domingo." It was the first time in all these years I so easily called her sister. Judging by her expression, she didn't like it. Her face froze, then darkened as she repeated, "Come back." I didn't. I pushed open the door and walked out. Behind me, another glass shattered. The door closed, sealing off the noise. Looking for Domingo was just an excuse to leave. We never got along. In school, he'd tag me with balls in gym, secretly snip my art projects, hide my textbooks, drop bugs in my desk. Growing older didn't change that. Even though he spoke up for me this time, I wasn't looking to fix things. I planned to head home, but at the front entrance, I found him leaning against the wall, smoking. Seeing me, he stubbed it out and tossed it away. "I came with Joel, heading back. Give me a lift?" I sighed and decided not to refuse. In 12 years of hanging out, it was one of the rare times we were alone together and not fighting. I dropped him at his place. He stayed put, silent. After a long pause, "That Oliver kid, he reminds me a lot of you back then. What did that matter? However similar, he isn't me and I'm not him." I didn't want to continue. I opened the door and waved him out. Ignoring his muttered curses, I tapped the gas and turned into the adjacent villa. My family lived next to Domingo's, and beyond that was Julia's home. Everyone in this neighborhood was wealthy or influential. Just as I parked, Domingo called, "Check WeChat." In the group chat, red packets and transfers were flying. Julia had added Oliver, and everyone was sending money to congratulate her on finding a boyfriend. I joined in and sent one too. Just as it went through, she kicked me out of the group. An instant later, a private message. "Sorry, Romeo. Your presence makes Oliver uncomfortable. Let's not stay in touch for now." It felt like a punch to the chest. After a moment, I replied simply, "All right." A big red exclamation mark popped up. Julia had deleted me. From youthful days to brilliant years, 12 years of knowing each other undone by her 2-month relationship. I stared at that exclamation mark, dazed. My eyes burned, but no tears came. The old Julia would shake me with a smile. "Romeo, other than my parents, no one is more important to me than you." This Julia told me, "Your presence makes Oliver uncomfortable. Let's not stay in touch. Ridiculous." I liked Julia, but I never clung or crossed lines. I never even flirted. Whenever she got a boyfriend, I proactively kept my distance, afraid my feelings would burden her. Yet whenever I pulled back a little, it annoyed her. Her first boyfriend was my college roommate, a guy who knew I liked her. Later they walked past me, hand in hand. My roommate smiled big, as if forgetting the times we'd shared drinks, and said, sincerely grateful, "Romeo, thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have won Julia." The wind was strong that day. I stood on the tree-lined path outside the library, feeling like a fool. Only then did I realize he'd befriended me from the start to get to her. After all, how many teenage boys could resist a campus beauty from a wealthy family? I distanced myself from both him and Julia. Their relationship lasted 3 days. He came back furious, eyes red. Julia dumped me! Happy now? I was baffled. I hadn't done anything. But since he asked, I told the truth. Yeah, I'm happy. That night, Julia insisted on treating me. She grinned mischievously. You've ignored me for 3 days. Can you stop being mad? I explained, I'm not mad. It's just that now you're dating, we should keep some space. It's better for everyone. She said, full of conviction. I only agreed to date him because you were close. If Romeo likes him, I'd like him. If Romeo doesn't, I don't. After that, when she dated, she avoided people connected to me. She didn't bring boyfriends around us publicly. But in the capital's high society, the circle isn't that big or that small. Taking boyfriends to events, running into acquaintances, was inevitable. Even if she said nothing, news made its way to me. At holiday gatherings, someone would joke, "So many boyfriends, when will you bring one to meet us?" She'd drop a shrimp in my bowl, casually take the one I'd peeled and say, "They're not at that level yet." Some boyfriends added me on social media, some pleaded, some cursed, all trying to make me stay away. Eventually I understood, even if I did nothing, my existence was a sin. So when she cut ties for Oliver's sake, I respected it. But why kick me out of the group? An hour later, Joel kicked open my bedroom door. Seeing I was fine, he scratched his head. Man, I was worried you'd do something drastic, so I came to check. I glared, lips pressed together. A few minutes later, he ventured, "Romeo, Julia's just confused. We can all see how much Oliver resembles." What he didn't say was me back then. "Once she comes to her senses, could you give her another chance?" I frowned and didn't answer directly. "Joel, I want to go back south, to my grandma's. When my mom was pregnant, my dad's business hit a rough patch, nearly bankrupt. They asked a feng shui master, who blamed my mom's pregnancy. He said I was destined to bring misfortune, affecting my dad's finances. But my mom was 9 months along, too late to change anything. So as soon as I was born, they sent me south to my grandmother. She named me Romeo, hoping I'd live peacefully year after year. When I was 14, she died, leaving me alone. I used to think, at least I have Julia. Even if we aren't lovers, I'm always her number one. That seemed enough. Reality slapped me hard. It was the rainy season. The south was veiled in drizzle. Umbrella in hand, I walked the familiar cobbled path. At the end stood the old 3-story building, the home of my first 14 years. My mom always said my grandmother was stubborn. Even after her daughter married into wealth, she clung to that old house in the countryside. But that stubborn woman gave me the happiest childhood. The rain was light. Vendors pedaled by on tricycles, loudspeakers blaring. Fresh bayberries, fresh bayberries. A man from the small villa next door stepped out with an umbrella and waved the vendor over. Seeing me by the road, he called in surprise, "Romeo! What brings you back?" "It's not Memorial Day yet," I forced a smile. "I missed home. Came back to stay a few days." He glanced at my suitcase, sympathy flickering in his eyes. "Kid, why come alone? Your grandma's house hasn't been lived in for ages, and it's been raining. Must be damp." "Stay at ours for now. Your sister Anna is hardly ever home. You'd be good company." He grabbed my suitcase, took my hand and happily led me into the villa. He put me in his daughter Anna's room. Watching Uncle Shu bustling about, I finally understood what overwhelmed by hospitality meant. After I refused a few times, he looked so hurt, asking if I thought his home too modest, that I gave in. Anna's room was clean and simple, dominated by a huge bookshelf full of books, models, trophies, and certificates. It fit her, the all-round overachiever from childhood to college. Anna is 2 years older than me. We weren't close, but not strangers either. Beyond growing up together, we were also alumni. She earned a scholarship to the top university. I got in because of my local status. That evening, Domingo called. His voice sounded dull. "Joel said you went south," I hummed. After a long pause, he muttered, "Why didn't you tell me? I could use a break too." Over the years, I'd noticed his feelings for Julia. Staring out at the endless drizzle, I refused without hesitation. "No need. A brotherly bonding trip isn't really our style." He ground his teeth, called me an idiot, and hung up. In a few years, she'd grown from a simple, innocent girl into a poised young woman. Anna hesitated a moment, eyes holding emotions I couldn't read. "It's been a while," she said. her voice as lively and pleasant as I remembered. I smiled. It has. Since the room's owner had returned, I had no reason to stay. I said goodbye to Uncle Shu, who frowned and thought, "You haven't been back in so long, and your grandma's house isn't stocked. How about this? Anna can move in with you and help take care of things." I was about to decline when Anna answered first. "All right, let me go with you and help clean up first." It didn't feel ideal for an unmarried man and woman to stay alone together, but I couldn't refuse father and daughter, so Anna and I went to my grandmother's house. Though it hadn't been lived in for a while, I'd hired people each year to inspect and repair it. Aside from a coat of dust, it was in good shape. When we finished cleaning, I sat on the steps outside and stared into the distance. The sky, washed clean by rain, was a deep blue, with big white clouds drifting across it. So different from the smoggy capital. Anna passed me a bottle of water. I looked up and smiled. "Why did you come back so suddenly?" She smiled too. My dad tricked me into it. Then she shot the question back at me. Aina, bathed in warm sunlight that dusted her with a golden glow, was quietly beautiful. Gentle, elegant, with the calm poise of someone scholarly, so unlike Julia's bold, striking presence. I looked away and chose the most fitting word, healing. Life in the countryside moves slowly. I adapted to our polite, peaceful cohabitation. Anna was a considerate roommate. Worried I'd get bored, she brought me a stack of extracurricular books and somehow even found a puppy that looked just like my grandmother's old dog. I crouched to pet it, my heart a tangle of feelings. Anna stood quietly beside me. After a long moment she asked, "Romeo, are you feeling hurt?" The words tugged loose an old memory. When I was small, local kids mocked me for being a parentless child, even an illegitimate kid. Soft-hearted, I'd hide somewhere and cry. Every time Anna would find me, pat my head and ask, "Romeo, are you feeling hurt?" Over time, the bullying faded, until one day I saw her cornering a boy who'd thrown rocks at me and giving him a proper beating in a dead-end alley. Only then did I realize the truth. The skinny, delicate girl had turned fierce to protect me. It seemed I'd been very attached to Anna before I left. How did we drift apart? A few days later, Joel sent me a short video. Julia sat slumped on the floor, clutching a bottle and calling, "Romeo, Romeo!" Beside her, Oliver's brows were knit, his face dark. Under the clip were two messages. "Romeo, when are you coming back? Julia's drunk and keeps demanding to see you. She's at the flower garden making a scene. We don't know what to do." The flower garden was the exclusive club, Daniel mentioned, the Lin family's own place. When Julia drank too much, I was the only one she would follow home quietly. Even drunk, she recognized me. I once asked if she wasn't afraid of mistaking someone else for me. She'd pout and say, "How could I ever mistake you? You're the one and only Romeo." It was those ordinary little moments that fed my feelings for 12 years. A hint of hope was enough to keep me going, wasn't it? I typed back, "From now on, don't tell me about her anymore." As soon as I sent it, Joel called. I hesitated, then picked up. "Hey, Romeo, Julia hasn't been doing well." Before he finished, someone in the background shouted, "Julia, behave! Stop grabbing my phone!" Then Julia's voice broke through. "Hello? Hello? Is that Romeo? When are you coming to get me? I felt awful these past days, and you didn't come. I haven't seen you in so long." Her voice softened, uncertain, with a sob hidden inside. "Romeo, I miss you." I hung up without thinking. That night, Oliver sent a friend request, saying he had something to show me. I didn't care, but he kept trying, over and over. Around the 20th attempt, I accepted. He sent a photo. In a hotel room, Julia lay on a large bed, eyes closed, dark hair spread out like a siren's halo, and Oliver lay beside her. "Brother Romeo," he wrote, "Julia and I know you like her too, but she only sees you as family and habit. She told me I'm the only one she loves. She got drunk tonight because she was jealous I spoke to another girl and came looking for you, so please don't misunderstand." I felt only indifference. My 12 years ended the moment she kicked me out of the group. Letting go was easier than I'd imagined. I replied calmly, "Oh, wish you both happiness." Then it rained for days. Anna would brew tea and sit by the window, writing or sketching, while I lay on the couch with a book. The puppy she'd given me curled at my feet. I named him Pudding. We grew closer in that quiet. Outside rain tapped the eaves. Inside, her pen scratched lightly and my pages rustled. Words like peaceful times and serenity in the passing years came to mind. A sudden, urgent knock broke the calm. Anna's neighbor stood there worried. "Anna, your father just fainted. You need to go." She froze, then rushed out like the wind. I hurried after her. Uncle Shu had always looked after my grandmother and me, helping us when she was alive, bringing us home-cooked food, even now. He lay in bed, pale and weak. Anna frowned. "Dad, are you okay? Should we go to the hospital?" Despite trying to steady it, her voice trembled. Uncle Shu glanced at me, sighed long and beckoned me closer, pulling a paper from under his pillow. "I wasn't going to tell you this. My time is running out. My biggest worry is Anna. Romeo, I know you're a good kid. I want to entrust her to you." On the paper, late-stage cancer. Anna snatched it, frowning deeper as she read. After a long silence, she said, "It might be a misdiagnosis. We'll get another check soon." Despite her words, she grew quieter by the day. When we were kids, she found me when I hid to cry. Now I was the one finding her, quietly weeping in secret. When I did, she'd tip her head up, nose red, eyes misty. My heart ached. "If you need to cry, just cry. Don't hold back." I sat beside her and, after a brief hesitation, rested my hand on her head, patting her hair softly, just like she used to comfort me. Late June burned hotter than usual, maybe because our hearts were heavy. She looked up at the sky, voice choked. I came back because my dad told me he was sick. When I got home, he joked it away. I thought he was kidding. I stayed quiet. She needed a listener more than advice. "Romeo, thank you for everything these days. Don't take what my dad said too seriously. I'm not your responsibility. You shouldn't feel obliged to take care of me, or put your marriage on the line for old ties. Uncle Shu's last wish was for me to marry Anna." I looked into the distance, silent a long while. I couldn't define what I felt. Being with her was easy, even when we said nothing. Seeing her cry made me want to ease it, to make her smile. Making her my responsibility didn't feel like a burden. There was even a glimmer of longing. After a while I heard myself say, "Anna, let's get married." Before 14, my parents were holiday visitors. After 14, they were family who checked if I had enough money. Did they love me? Probably. But 14 years of distance meant they didn't know how to be close. Watching my mom dote on my younger brother, 5 years behind me, I'd console myself with that thought. When they heard I was getting married, my mom only asked about Anna's background and agreed. We set the wedding a little over a month out. Anna wanted to keep it simple, but I refused. I couldn't afford a lavish spectacle, but she deserved everything a bride should have. If I'd chosen to marry her, I wouldn't let her feel even a touch of grievance. After we wrapped details and headed home, a blue Pagani Huayra sat outside. Joel got out. Sharp features tired, dark circles under his eyes, stubble on his chin. He'd clearly driven through the night. He glanced at Anna beside me and frowned. "Is she the one you're marrying?" He was the only friend I'd told. I nodded, and his frown deepened. "Romeo, we need to talk." Anna gave us space, composed and considerate as always. Joel watched her go, still frowning. "Are you sure?" Following his gaze, without realizing it, my voice softened. "Yes, I'm sure." He sighed and tried to persuade me gently. "Marriage isn't a game. You've loved Julia for years. I can't believe you fell for someone else so fast. She hurt you, but that's no reason to hurt an innocent girl. Ask yourself, do you truly love her?" I paused, and moments from recent days flashed by. Simple, steady routines. Few words, but every morning breakfast ready before I woke. Anna in a cartoon apron that didn't match her elegance, calling me to wash and eat with a smile. Pudding wagging in circles around her. The three of us looked like a picture of quiet home. Suddenly, everything cleared. I patted Joel's shoulder and answered with certainty, "Don't worry. I'd never hurt Anna. Do I love her?" It feels like I do. After Joel left, I dove into preparations. The date was close, and there was a lot to do. He still messaged often, sometimes mentioning Julia. He said she'd gotten drunk and been manipulated by Oliver, who used compromising photos to pressure her into marriage. It even hit the news. The Lynn patriarch was furious, ordered Julia to step down from the family business and reflect. Pampered since birth, she couldn't handle hardship. Depressed, she drank, and when she was drunk, she only shouted for me, refusing anyone else. Joel didn't say this straight. Domingo did. After all these years, can't you forgive her once? Seeing her like this, doesn't it break your heart? I didn't reply. Break my heart? For 12 years she knew how I felt, dangling hope while dating others. Who cared about my heart? Lately she tried adding me several times. I ignored her. She called from different numbers. I blocked them. After she kicked me out for Oliver, there was no way back to even friendship. Some wounds don't heal. Once love shatters, it's not easily mended. Besides, I have Anna now. I saw Julia again more than a month later. Domingo texted that he was nearby and asked to meet on the busiest street. Before leaving, I slipped a stack of wedding invitations into my bag, hoping he'd help distribute them back home. Anna and I were nearly done with arrangements. Uncle Shu's health kept fading, but he was truly happy. Our marriage was the only bright splash on a grey canvas. Today, the flower beds along the pedestrian street were filled with bright red roses, with ribbons and balloons. 2 girls walked by chattering. Wow, which rich guy is proposing? So romantic. I heard it's a beautiful girl confessing. A whole sea of roses ahead. They were flown in. Someone saw a small plane this morning. Must be loaded, let's go. The crowd surged toward the spot where Domingo and I were to meet. I frowned, piecing things together. I'd heard a couple days ago that the Lynn family gave Oliver a $5 million breakup fee. Seeing no future with the wealthy, he took the cash and left. Bag in hand, I moved with the flow. Sure enough, the ocean of roses lined up near our cafe. The street was packed in layers. Sometimes girls gasped. The girl with the bouquet is stunning, and those men next to her are handsome. I love the one on the far right, bad boy vibe. So appealing. It's like a romance novel, beautiful heroine and handsome knights. Wonder what the male lead looks like for such a public confession. Domingo stood at the edge. Spotting me, he pulled me into the throng. Make way, make way. The leading man is here. A path opened. At the end stood Julia, nervous but hopeful, holding a huge bouquet of Juliet's. Domingo let go of my hand and nudged me forward. Compared to me, his devotion to her probably deserved more respect. Romeo, Julia called, a blush spreading across her delicate face. Amid cheers, she walked toward me. Behind her, our old friends looked delighted, except Joel on the far right, arms crossed, leaning against the wall with a smirk. When he caught my eye, he raised an eyebrow, and the surrounding girls screamed. Julia bit her lip shyly and held the flowers out. Romeo, I'm sorry. I know I was awful before. It wasn't until you left that I realized how much more important you are to me than I ever imagined. Will you give me another chance? Let me make up for my mistakes. I looked down, opened my bag and handed her an invitation. I'm getting married next week. I hope you can come. Julia froze. The expensive roses slipped. Petals scattered. Romeo, stop. Stop joking. That's not funny. Her eyes reddened. I ignored her, stepped past and handed invitations to the others, equally stunned. Remember to come. Only my parents and Joel knew about the wedding. Clearly they hadn't spread it. Julia rushed in, grabbed the invites I'd just passed out, ripped them to pieces, and flung them to the ground. Red-eyed, she glared. Romeo, I told you, this joke isn't funny. I hadn't expected such a reaction. Tears streaming, she shredded every invite left in my bag and grabbed my arm to pull me away. I slipped free, and with a faint smile said, There's still a lot to prepare, and my wife is waiting for me. I'll be going. 2 days later, Julia bought the house next door, and her flashy, limited-edition Koenigsegg looked absurd outside the modest place. Every day she waited, begging for another chance. Tired of it, I told her sharply. I'm about to get married. Please stop. She bit her lip. Tears pooled instantly. Moments later, she crouched, clutching her head, sobbing. Romeo, I know I was wrong. Please, just one more chance. I'm begging you. Don't be so heartless. The once proud woman humbled herself, grinding into the dust for forgiveness. Watching her cry, I felt nothing. Heartless? Then I'd lean in. I bent a little. Sorry, Julia, but your presence makes Anna uncomfortable. Let's not stay in touch. I returned her words to her, word for word. The wedding went ahead. Outside, a line of cars stretched down the road. Just before I got in, I saw Julia standing there in a brand new white gown, makeup exquisite. I lowered my head to enter the car, but she raced over and grabbed my arm. Her once clear voice was hoarse, scraped raw. "Romeo, are you doing this to get back at me?" She tried to smile through red eyes. "Punish me however you want. Just don't marry someone else." I met her gaze and replied evenly, "No, this isn't revenge. I'm marrying Anna because I want to." Tears slid down her face. Her grip tightened. "But you don't love her, do you?" I pushed her hand away, smiling faintly. "If I didn't, why would I marry her? After all these years, you should at least know that." I got in the car. As the procession pulled away, her lonely figure wrapped in white lace shrank in the rear view. A scene that felt like a farce. Married life wasn't much different. To care for Uncle Shu, we moved back to the little villa. Anna slept on the bed, I on a mattress on the floor. Until I was sure of her feelings, I wanted to give her respect. Joel still checked in now and then. He never mentioned Julia. I learned from the news that her father was ousted from the board. Oliver had been ruthless, if not exactly legal. He copied Julia's bid documents and sold them to competitors. Business is a battlefield, and Lin Corporation took a heavy blow, suffering big losses. With no choice, Lin's father sold shares to plug the hole. Though he had Oliver imprisoned, he was no longer the largest shareholder. Because Julia's actions caused the mess, long-time disgruntled shareholders joined forces to strip him of his board seat. I just sighed and didn't dig deeper. In a sense, it looked like a daughter paying for a father's sins. Uncle Shu didn't make it through the winter. Anna handled the funeral with a strangely calm composure, so calm it hurt to see. Raised by her father alone, their bond ran deep. Maybe because she lacked a mother, she'd always treated me. The child often mocked for absent parents, so carefully. Over 6 months into our marriage, I held her in my arms for the first time. She curled up sobbing. "Romeo, I don't have a father anymore." I patted her back, swallowing my own tears. "You still have me. From now on, I'll be here. Anna, for the rest of our lives. Let's walk together, take care of each other, and keep each other warm." We'd stayed in the southern town because of Uncle Shu, but now it was time to return to the capital. While packing, Pudding trotted over and dropped a diary at my feet, like treasure. It was cobwebbed, something he'd dug from a forgotten corner. Curious, I opened it and found years of notes, entries that recorded a girl's quiet, enduring love. All this time I hadn't known that a gentle, reserved girl had loved me silently. Anna finished packing and came over to ask if I needed help. She saw me paging through the diary. "You saw it?" she asked, shy and a little anxious. I looked up, blinked away the sting, and smiled at her. "What a coincidence. I like you too. Our story may not be wild and blazing, but marriage is made of everyday details. Who says a quiet, steady love isn't exactly what life is?